And we are live. Welcome to the MLB Strategy Show. It is Friday, September 15th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down. I don't know how many games there are today. That answer would be 13. 13-game MLB slate. Too big as far as I'm concerned. But it's Friday, so we know what we're getting here. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. We're going to talk about Owner's Box in a bit. They are the sponsor of this show. But hello to chat. Hello to everybody that is here. Hope you enjoyed your football last night. I did not enjoy baseball, although at the beginning I did. And then it got worse and worse and worse as the day went on. Unfortunate for me, but we'll do what we can. We have a lot to talk about today. And we need to get through it all as fast as we can because we do have the NFL Strategy Show coming up next. Whew, gonna be fun. Gonna be fun. Got a Gatorade here. Made myself. It's a little cooler today. It's only 71, so I made myself a hot coffee instead of the iced coffee that I've been guzzling every day for the past couple months. My Sims are dangerously close to done. Although, is this stuck? Nope, it's not stuck. Dangerously close to done. Once that finishes, I could refresh, see what my lineups look like, and then we can break this slate down. I got clobbered last night. Can't complain too much. It happens. The Twins getting there in the end was really problematic. It was just unfun. Unfun across the board. Thought the Yankees were going to get me there early. Faded out of it. Just miserable. It's too hot yet. Shit. I'm afraid to, you know what here's what we're going to do. I want to do one game. I'm going to take the lid off. Let this bad boy just let a little heat out. And then after the first game, after Orioles Rays, I'll put that lid back on and then I'll drink it. I got a Gatorade here too. We're going to be fine. Sim should be done. No, still on the outside. There we go. Just finished. So let's refresh it. Let's check the lineups, and then we'll get ourselves started. Oh, Urena really got there until he didn't. If they would have just ripped him out of that game at the end of the sixth, it would have been damn tasty. Damn tasty. But, oh well. Didn't work out the way that we wanted it to. Surprise, surprise. Have a ton of Giants. Couldn't have seen that one coming. Psych. Clearly saw that coming. But let's see if that actually holds up as I select the rest of the lineups. Calculations are done. We scroll to the top. Yeah, we're going to knock down a little bit of that Giants exposure because I don't need to go that crazy, but clearly going to have them. No way around that one, that's for sure. Is that going to be too big of a cut? Probably not. We good? How many stacks is that? All right, 30. We'll be fine there. All right, let's break this slate down, folks. Who didn't really play Urena? I played 30%. Adam played 80. So if you thought I was crazy, talk to Adam. But I played, I don't know, 30-something%. Right at 30, maybe. Something like that. Let's grab our top pitchers and top stacks tool, and then we're good to go. So we're going to grab top pitchers, boom, and top stacks, boom. We're going to have to go pretty quick here. We're not going to dilly-dally on the teams that don't matter as much because remember, we have 26 options today. We're starting it off Orioles and Rays. 4.1 run implied total for Baltimore. 4.4 for the Rays. Jack Flaherty going for Baltimore. Zach Eflin for the Rays. Eflin unowned at 9,300. Let's refresh my pitcher table too. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, cool. Jesse Schulten's day again. Zach Eflin is unowned. Probably should be around 5%, but not a guy that we're going to dig into. Jack Flaherty, 5% owned. He's only 7,200. That's a little interesting to me. We have him 6% top two pitcher. I have him 8, so call it 7. He's probably like a couple percentage points under owned. The strikeouts just haven't been there against lefties, but they are there against righties. Little bit of power to lefties. I don't know. I think Jack Flaherty, it's not a great matchup against the Rays for sure, But I think Jack Flaherty should be more than 7,200. I have 14%, so I'm pretty happy to be, basically 3xing that 5%. If I'm getting to either pitcher, it's certainly going to be Flaherty because of the price. If we're looking at bats, nobody's rostering the Orioles. They're 26th in ownership. Nobody has more than one Orioles stack. I've got, they are 15th in top stack. I have it 13th, but I think they're wildly underowned. Do I want to target Eflin? No. Like, this dude doesn't get hit hard at all. 150 X ISO to lefties and righties. But I am getting to Baltimore. I have 18 Orioles stacks. They are one of my 4 most exposed teams. But so are the Rays. I have them 5th in top stack, 5th in value. We have them 7 and 7. They're 7th in ownership. I have 14 Rays stacks. I just want to get to the offense here. I think there's too much talent to get away from this game. Now, the Rays are pulling some ownership, so that does concern me a little bit. But on the opposite side for Baltimore, I'm happy to go this direction. They're not problematically expensive. Rutschman and Henderson are both in the 5Ks. Everybody else is easy enough to get to. There's enough value on this entire slate. I think both of these teams are a little sneaky. Rays less sneaky just because they're getting owned, but Baltimore's probably going to be one of the teams I take a shot at today. They usually are, too. I think they're just better than what they get credit for. I like this game. If I'm ranking this game independently, it's probably Flaherty, Rays, Orioles, Eflin. Tough game, though. Not a big stand. Look, I got a lot of the Giants. We're going to get to the Astros. After that, I don't have much of any other teams. Like, this is the main game we're going to talk about. After this one, it's going to get pretty bleak. Guy I have the most in this game is Gunnar Henderson. That shouldn't be all that surprising. $5,500 third base shortstop, 2% owned. Like, that's just a little light. There's a lot of positive leverage to be found in this Baltimore-Tampa game, including the pitching, I might add. Blue Jays and Red Sox. 4.5 run implied total for the Jays. 4 for the Sox. It's Jose Barrios going for Toronto. Brian Bayo going for the Red Sox. No ownership coming into Bayo. Anywhere up to 5% is fine. No ownership coming into really to Barrios. He's 8,800 and 3% owned. I actually have 11%. I don't love it. I think he's just like a perfectly reasonable, like upper mid-tier dude today. I wouldn't say that either one of these guys is a priority. Ooh, Clayton, good call. Let's get the coffee. Just that little bit. Those couple extra, it's going to help. Still really hot. I mean, that's a great extension. 4 for 48 is basically no money. So I have no issue at all with that. A good deal for the Lakers. It's actually a really good deal for the Lakers. Anyway, for the bats, like the Red Sox are 16th in ownership. The Blue Jays are 21st. I have the Blue Jays, like between myself and the site, we're probably in like the 2 to 3% range top stack. On the same side for the Red Sox, it's the same thing. I have both of these teams around 10th in top stack. Or maybe they're a little under-owned. I have a little bit more of the Blue Jays than I do of the Red Sox, but I only have 2.5% of the Jays. This is a tough game to get a lot of. I mean, I guess in theory, it looks a lot like Baltimore and Tampa. Like, it's just this this 4-ish run implied total. Talent and power on both sides. Hard to want to take like any major stand. I just don't have a lot here. It's 11% of Barrios, which is too much. And then the most I have of any other guy here is like 5% of Bichette, Guerrero, Devers. Like, I'm getting to the guys that are good, but there's no stand to be had here for Baltimore, Tampa, Toronto, Boston. And there's no stand to be taken here for game number 3 either. Mets and Reds. 4-run implied total for the Mets, 3.9 for the Reds. David Peterson on the hill for New York. Hunter Green going for the Reds. So Green is 9,100. He's 18% owned. I would argue that's a little bit too high in this spot. Tends to give up some power to righties. 185 x ISO to righties this year. Now, the strikeouts certainly are there. Not a great strikeout matchup here against the Mets, although Green does go into this pitcher's park. I think he's just a little bit, like, he's priced for his upside, and that makes him kind of difficult for me to get to. Like, I'm surprised he's getting 18% ownership. That seems a little high to me. I'd rather spend $400 more and take the risk of having George Kirby face the Dodgers, I think, at basically like 1/3 the ownership. Or I would rather go to Logan Webb, who might not have the same strikeout upside, but is 5% owned against the Rockies. Just because it's in cores, I don't mind. So I'm a little lighter on Hunter Green, but clearly the strikeout ceiling, massive for Green. Actually, let's look that up. Does he have alternate strikeout lines yet? Hunter Green, pitcher props, strikeout line. So he's projected for just shy of 7. I have him at 5.4, which I don't disagree with. I mean, so, like, Hunter Green doesn't go deep into the games. So let's say I'm even light here, and he should get 17 outs, 5 2/3 innings, 17 outs, but 7.5 strikeouts. That's 44% of his outs being strikeouts. That's pretty aggressive. 7.5 just feels, well, even if you want to say that it's shaded a little bit, that's a little too high for me. It's a little too high. Let's just work our way through this for a second. If I take this 29% times this entire range, can I do that? I can do that. Nice. Actually, we need to lock that bad boy in. And then we'll do this. There we go. So that's the odds of... We're going to divide by 0.21. Does that get me where I want to be? It does. And then we multiply by all of this divided by times, we'll say, what's 5.7 divided by 9? 0.63. Perfect. This should give me a quick and dirty look of strikeouts, and it does. Yeah, that gets me to 6. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. I think that Hunter Green strikeout rate, or Hunter Green strikeout line, is a little too high. So I'm going to be light on Hunter Green. I'm also going to be light on David Peterson. We have him 12% top 2 pitcher. I have him 9. So, call it 10 or 11. Excellent value at 6,600 here. Park works. I got him in for 5 2/3. It seems a little aggressive for Peterson's ownership. Is he is he the best value at the bottom? Yeah, I think that he pretty clearly is. But I don't think he's that different than like Brandon Pfaadt, and he's 10x the ownership. Or even Wade Miley, 10x the ownership. Jack Flaherty is 1/4 the ownership of David Peterson. It's a great spot against the Reds, but he's getting a little bit too much love. Like, we got to remember, like, he's not that guy. 28% K rate to lefties, but he's also giving up a 180x ISO. 23% K rate to righties. He's also giving up a 175x ISO. So I'm okay being a little bit lighter on both of these pitchers, but I do recognize that Hunter Green has a bit of a ceiling. For stacks, I'm certainly not getting there, though. We have the Mets 13th in ownership. We have the Reds 19th. I have 1 Mets stack and less than 1% of them in the aggregate. I have 4 Red stacks, less than 2% in the aggregate. I don't see this game as a game for offense. I think you're looking for pitching, and I would rank it Peterson, Green, Reds bats, Mets bats. So that's 3 games up and 3 games down. Schedule for today is very simple. NFL Strategy Show coming up next, 11 a.m., Laffy and Greg talking NFL for this coming Sunday. And then that's it for most content, except for myself, Matthew Bellman, coming back tonight, 6 p.m., live before lock. We could really dig into whatever sort of changes we've had through this slate. So make sure you're coming back at 6 p.m. tonight for live before lock. Let's try this coffee out again. Yeah, still way too hot. All right, another game with this like low fours total. Guardians 4.1 run implied total. Rangers 4.4. It's Lucas Giolito going for... Wait, is this... What happened here? I need to rerun everything I have. Sort of. Well, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't mistype that. Let me just look at something quick. No, I guess I didn't. I thought the line looked weird when I first, but I guess it didn't. Giolito at home, 4.1 run implied total. John Gray going for the Rangers, 4.4 run implied total. 8,100 for Gray, 8,300 for Giolito. I have Giolito 10% top two pitcher, Gray 5. We have it 10% Giolito, Gray 7. So we're pretty much in lockstep, but that does stand out a little bit. The ownership right now is 14% to Giolito, 1 to Gray. That's insane. I think like the proper way would be like 10 to like it's 15% total. It should be 10 to 5, not 14 to 1. But either way, I don't really think I'm going to get like if the ownership exists like this, I'd rather just have Gray. I don't have Giolito. I only have 2%. I have 1% of Gray. I think I'm just going to avoid this game mostly in its entirety. I don't really want to target either guy, although they are gettable. 185 x ISO to lefties for John Gray, 200 x ISO to everybody for Lucas Giolito. But the way that I look at this game now, if Giolito's getting that ownership, I'm not as interested. I am a little bit interested in a contrarian John Gray, but he should only be 5%, so I don't want to go too crazy there. But I don't want the bats either. Guardians are 4% owned. A lot of that is Juan Ramirez Naylor, and I get it. I don't have it. I have less than 2% of the Guardians. I have 2% of the Rangers. They're 8th in ownership, but at 4%. If you want to go to Semien, Seager, Garver, I get it. There's a lot of power. The major power bats for Texas, just like yesterday, will look good against Giolito. They'll look even better against Giolito than they did against Kenta Maeda. But this is just another game where, look at this. I have 2% Guardians, 2% Rangers, 2% Reds, 1% Mets, 2% Red Sox, a whopping 3% of the Blue Jays. I just don't have anything interesting to say about these guys. The Rangers are definitely a sneakier team to get to today than Cleveland because Giolito just gives up massive amounts of power. And Texas can take advantage of that. I get it if you want to go to Texas, if that's a team you want to get to at low ownership. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Only Ranger I don't have, Evan Carter, straight 0. So that should make sense to everybody. And we finally have something to talk about that I'm getting to. White Sox and Twins. 3.9 run implied total for the White Sox. 5 for the Twins. It's Jesse Schultz for Chicago. Bailey Ober for Minnesota. I think Ober's getting called back up from the minors here. He's 6% owned at 8,500. He should be 5% owned. It's fine. Jesse Schultz. We have him 3% top two pitcher, 12 value. I have it 5 and 18. Call it, 4 and 15. He's 1% owned. I think he should be somewhere in that 5 to 10% range. He's 5,700. Is he all that? Like Zach Thompson's getting 10.5%. Jesse Schultz is getting 1. Is this a good spot? No. But is it a good park? No. Are they giant dogs? Yes. I see this a lot like I did yesterday. I have a lot of Jesse Schultz because he's not owned. And it's just because of what's around him. Like he shouldn't be 22 to 1 on David Peterson. It's a bad spot. Don't get me wrong, but that's too extreme. So Jesse Schultz appears to be a value guy that I'm getting. I don't advocate for it. This is a 150 max type play, but I am getting to Jesse Schultz. Just putting that out there. I'm not getting to the Twins. Same way I didn't get to them yesterday. The fact that they ended up getting there in the end was incredibly annoying. They're third in top stack, third in top value. That's exactly where I have them. Number 1 in ownership at 15%. There's no chance I'm going here. These guys are more owned right now than the Giants are in cores. Let's put that there for a second. I have 3.7%, and they're 14.8. It's the biggest fade I have. Now, are they a good team on paper? Yes. Are you going to someone like Royce Lewis in cash? Probably. Maybe even more cash options on the Minnesota Twins for today. But in a large field 150 max situation, I can't get there. I don't see it. I really don't see it. White Sox on the opposite side. Not a great top stack in general, but we have them 4th in value. I have them 8th, but it's basically the same percentage. They've got like a 5 to 6% chance of being the top value stack. It's still just Lou Bob and then freebies across the board. So I have 5 stacks. They're only 2% owned. I have 3. I'll probably have a little bit of White Sox bats just for the value. But I'm expecting the main piece for me to be a value Jesse Schultens. So, yeah, that's happening. And just so that everybody knows, Jesse Schultens has a crisp 094 x-ISO to lefties. That's good. It's 216 to righties. Yuck. Royals and Astros. Now we got another team on my list of hitters that I want to get to. 4-run implied total for the Royals. They're starting Zach Greinke today. 5.5 run implied total for the Astros. They've got Christian Javier on the hill. Javier is 6% owned. He's 7,900 for today. That's an interesting price. Now we have him 8% top pitcher, 8% top value. I have it 10 and 9. So I'm in lockstep with the site. He should be like 10% owned, but he's only 6. Now he gives up so much power. 195 x-ISO to righties, 195 x-ISO to lefties, 257 to righties. But he strikes out a lot of righties. There's going to be a lot of lefties in the Royals lineup. But with all that power, 80 park factor to righties, 80 park factor to lefties. If you're ever going to get to Christian Javier, I think this is the spot to do it. There's a lot of strikeouts in the lineup, and this park should help him. I've got close to 20%. If he's 6% owned, this is another way that I think that I can get a little different in the end. I definitely don't want to get to Zach Greinke at 5K. He's bad. But now we got to talk about what this game is. Astros are popular. They're 2nd in top stack. They're 3rd in ownership at about 8.5%. I have 14%. I have 22 Astros stacks right now. I'm willing to get a little bit more Jesse Schultens in order to get to the top of the Astros. I think they absolutely blast Zach Greinke. Greinke 219 x-ISO to lefties with a 12% K rate. Yordan Alvarez and Kyle Tucker are going to be drooling in this situation. Still a 171 x-ISO to righties plus a sub 19% K rate. Lefties just destroy him. So the Alvarez and Tucker in particular, they're getting ownership and they should. But I still want to get to Altuve and Pena. I like this as a stack. This is my 2nd most exposed team. On the opposite side for the Royals, I get it if you want to get a little bit more here because of Javier's home run power. They're 6th in ownership at 5.5%. They're probably a little tiny bit overowned, but I do think they're a team that has a path to the top. And because of third base, shortstop, catcher, if you want it to be 1, 2, 3, they're really easy to stack their best guys. So as I rank this game, for me personally, it's Astros, Javier, Royals, Greinke. More coffee. It's still too hot. But it is delicious. Brewers and Nationals. We've got a 4.7 run implied total for Milwaukee, 3.4 for the Nats. We're up to 100 people in here. Hit that like button if you haven't done it yet. We're going to touch on owner's box in a little bit. Wade Miley is going for Milwaukee. He is 7K, 3% owned. He should be around 5. I have 9. Not a lot to talk about for Miley. Jake Irvin going for the Nats, 6,400. He's unowned. I have 4%. That's random. We're not going here for much of anything today. Certainly not going here for any major priorities for pitching, but I will have a little bit of Miley. I'm just being Miley today. Brewers are somewhere in that 3.5 to 4% range of being the top stack. They're 5th in ownership, actually, at 6.7%. I have 6 stacks, but I'm under the field in the aggregate. It is a really nice park for power. And Jake Irvin isn't exactly a guy that I'd be super worried about. Is giving up a 226 X ISO to lefties. That's pretty good for like Sal Frelick or Bryce Terang, but they don't really have a lot of lefty power. I guess Carlos Santana would be your real major option here. I just don't have a lot of this game in general. The most I have of any hitter is 7% of Willy Adames. He clearly is warranting that at 4,400 and short. 9% of Wade Miley. I mean, this is just a game that I don't have a lot of. Brewers could look a little bit better here. It's just not a very good team. That's kind of the issue here. So I rank this game. For me, honestly, it's probably Miley, Brewers bats, Jake Irvin, Nats bats. But that final piece of it didn't make me feel better. That's for sure. Now, where is... There we go. All right, so we've got owner's box pulled up. I'm going to move that over to the middle of the screen so you guys can see it. Let's get that tossed up here because owner's box is the sponsor. And I got to chat them up because, one, I think they're still going to have the best contest in the industry on Sunday for the NFL. And two, you get a lot of stuff when you sign up for it. So I want you guys to click the link in the description. When you do that, when you sign up at owner's box, you're looking to deposit at least $10. That's the minimum for what we're talking about here. You will get 1 week of our NFL Sims Max package. That's like a $100 deal or something along those lines. Somewhere in that neighborhood, you're getting it for free. That's going to allow you to use our Sims tool to play on owner's box. You can generate 10,000 lineups in like a minute. Really dig into the ROI of players and lineups and stacks. All of that is going to be great for you. You can also use it for FanDuel and DraftKings. It's going to give you access to everything we have for the NFL. But then we need to talk about what you get at owner's box. My preference for you is to deposit $500 because they are going to match that deposit with a subsequent 100% match. So if you put in $500, you get $500 in owner's bucks. Sorry. Now, there will be a bit of a trickle on that. You'll be able to unlock it as you have entry fees. Standard, trickle bonus, 4%, I believe. I've already gotten out like $56 worth of it or something like that. So you're going to get that bonus money. So you can turn 500 into 1,000 pretty quickly. But you're going to get in the best contest in the industry. I think they had around 12,000 entrants last week. You can take in 13,875 here. I think you're going to get at the minimum pretty sizably reduced rake, if not a tiny bit of overlay. This will be the best contest that exists anywhere in the industry. It's $50K to first. It's only $15K to second, but it's $50K up top for a contest that'll probably have somewhere around 12,000 entries. Maybe it'll fill. I hope it does for owner's box. I'd be happy for them, but I think we can grab a little bit of reduced rake, and that should be the main appeal. Up to $500 in bonus money from owner's box, a free week of the NFL Sims Max package, and access to the best contest in the industry. You really can't ask for anything better than that, guys. So please sign up using the link in the description of this video. Now, back to baseball. We're going to go to Cardinals and Phillies. 3.9 run implied total for the Cards, 4.4 for the Phillies. It's $6,200 Zach Thompson, who's 11% owned, going up against $10,400 Aaron Nola. Nola, the most expensive pitcher on today's slate at 10-4. He's 5% owned. I have 3%. It's a decent park if you want to limit lefty power, but at 10-4, I just don't think he's all that necessary. It seems really, really unlikely to me that you need to go in that direction. Like, I have him 10% top 2 pitcher, or 11% top 2 pitcher, as do we. But that's it. Like, should he be up from 5 to 10? Yeah. Does that matter? No, not to me. So I don't have much Nola, and I'm certainly under on Zach Thompson. Is he a good value at 6,200? Yeah, but there are a lot of guys at the bottom that aren't getting any ownership that look very similar to Thompson. I don't see him as any sort of major priority. I think he's properly owned at 10%. Alrighty. As we talk bats, I have 1% of the Phillies and one lineup with Alec Burleson in it. I couldn't be further away from this game. I have basically 1% combined of everything. Zach Thompson and Aaron Nola at 5 and 3% are the guys I have the most of. We have the Phillies a little tiny bit underowned, and that I think makes some sense on the opposite side of the Zach Thompson ownership. But this is not a game I'm going to be getting to. I have nothing else to add. It's like this might be the easiest game to talk about. Now we get to the big one. Rockies and Giants. 4.4 run implied total for the Rocks. 6.1 for the Giants. Chase Anderson and Logan Webb going here. Anderson is basically unowned. I do have 5%. That kind of just happens for me. Don't read into it. Logan Webb, on the other hand, though, 8,600. We have him basically around 10% top 2 pitcher. We have him 5% owned. I think Logan Webb's getting a little underrepresented here in cores. I think he's in a pretty good spot. I have 19%. I like him at his current ownership. I have him and Seth Lugo projected basically the same. Now, Lugo gets to pitch in Oakland against Oakland, but Lugo's 18% owned. Logan Webb is 5%. I've flip-flopped those two guys. That seems like a really easy thing for me to do. Now, let's start with the Rockies. They are 24th in ownership. There's only 26 teams. I think that says a lot about Logan Webb, but they still have a 4.4 run implied total, and they're in cores. They're around 3.5% to be the top stack. They are just fully unowned. I would not mind at all to get to a little bit of Colorado by the time we get to lock, just because of where this game is being played. But the real takeaway for me is that I got to get to the Giants. Second in ownership at 13.5%. They're number 1 in top stack, number 2 in value. To me, this is the clear top team, and I'm getting it. I have 22% of the Giants, 31 stacks. I don't really see a mechanism to get away from it. I think they're clearly the best team. And I'm going to go to the Giants in course today. I feel like I have to. 221 x ISO to righties for Chase Anderson with a 14% K rate. 180 to lefties with a sub 20 K rate. The Giants have quite a bit of power, at least from a lefty side. Yaz, Jock Peterson, Conforto, Lamont Wade, all those guys, massive power. Not as much righty power. Mitch Haniger is probably going to be the guy that's carrying that one, but man, oh man, I think they're set up to absolutely crush Chase Anderson. So I'm going to get there. Are they going to be a little chalky? Yeah, absolutely. Am I going to use them a lot as not my primary 5-man? Yeah, probably. But I don't see how you get away from it. This to me is very clearly the best team you can get to today. So all aboard the Giants chalk train. Very different game here. Angels and Tigers. 3.6 run implied total for the Angels. 3.8 for the Tigers. Griffin Canning and Tariq Skubal. I want to start with Canning, who's 8,200, projected for 32% ownership. That is the high mark on today's slate. I have no real disagreements here. We have him only 14% top 2 pitcher. I have it 21. So he's probably a little under or over owned in the grand scheme of things. And I have a little bit less than the 32, but I do think it's safe to say that Griffin Canning is the best pitching option on today's slate relative to salary. His projection here against a high strikeout Tigers team just looks really, really good. You're not going to find a better combination of upside and price than Canning. So while I am a little bit under the field, I have 24%. That is the most of any pitcher that I have today. I love Griffin Canning. I don't love Skubal as much as the field does. We have him 16% top 2 pitcher. I have it 13. Call it 15. 25% owned at 9K. I think that's just too big of a number. Now, is it a good spot against the Angels? Yeah, this team is dying on the vine with all of their talent out. But if Skubal's already 25% owned, that gets a little scary to me. I think he's over-owned. I think it's very easy to pivot to some of the things around him. Logan Webb, for instance, at $400 cheaper. He's 1/5 the ownership. So I don't think that this chalk is exceptional. I don't mind going to Skubal. I think Griffin Canning is very clearly a guy you're playing in cash. The second guy would be up in the air a bit for me. But I want to get to Canning as a priority, a little bit of Skubal, but not a lot. And then I'm probably going to have a little bit of both pitchers because of the ownership, but neither one are a major priority. The Angels are dead last in top stack at 26th. The Tigers are 15th or 16th, depending on if you're looking at the sites or mine. Neither one of these teams are getting much ownership. It's around 2% on average for both. Nobody has more than 5% ownership in the lineup. I don't have too much, but I have 4 stacks of the Angels and 7 of the Tigers. So I'm not just disappearing here. I have close to 7 total, and there are around 4. So a little bit of hitting, but mostly I want Griffin Canning. All righty. We're moving pretty good. I only have 3 more games to go. We're through 36 minutes of the show. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget the NFL Strategy Show is coming up next at the top of the hour. We're going to talk Diamondbacks and Cubs now. This is a pretty difficult slate because to me it's just like Giants and Coors, and then you can get pretty weird with everything else. 4.4 run implied total for the Cubbies, 4 for the Diamondbacks. It's Brandon Pfaadt going for the D-backs, Justin Steele for the Cubs. Brandon Pfaadt's 3% owned at 6,700. To me, should be around 5%. Reasonable value play. Justin Steele, 10,100 today. Second most expensive pitcher behind Nola. 2% owned. Now, there's some strikeouts there for sure, but it's 29% Ks against lefties, 23 to righties. And as it looks right now, the Diamondbacks are going to roll out 8 righties plus Corbin Carroll. So this isn't the high-level strikeout matchup that you would normally see for Justin Steele. So I don't get the sense that he should be all that owned. Is he a little underrepresented at 2%? Yeah, but it should be 5%. So I don't have a lot to talk about there. But at the same time, I also don't want to target against Justin Steele because he's really good. So I have a couple Diamondback stacks, but I only have 2% of them total. I actually have more of the Cubs. Now, it's not a great park for power. 88 park factor to righties, 85 park factor to lefties. But I have 6% of the Cubs. That's 2xing a team that we have 5th in top stack. I have 6th. Same exact number, though, 5.3%. So I'll have a little bit here. Most owned guy is Chris Morel at 5%. I have about 5 or 6% of everybody. Zach Everhart, would you say you at least break even on most days entering 150? I mean, like, I do more than break even if you just add it all together, but individually, no, not even remotely close. You probably lose a sizable chunk 5 out of 7 days, maybe more. You'll go days and days and days with like 30, 40, 50% losses. But yeah, not even remotely close most days. It's way, 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 way less. Yeah. So it's not ideal. Ranking this game is kind of wild. For me, it's probably Cubs, Bats, Brandon Pfaadt, Steele, Diamondbacks. You're close, Bug Boy. It's a pretty quick leak of money until you hit. It's not really all that slow. The Oakland A's have a 3.6 run implied total at home, taking on the San Diego Padres. They have a 5 run implied total. Sean Newcomb going for Oakland. Seth Lugo going for San Diego. Nobody's going to Newcomb. Completely okay value play. Like, just shouldn't get any real ownership. Lugo is getting 18% ownership at 8,600. Myself and the site both have it 10% top 2 pitcher. He's a little bit over-owned, and I think that's what's causing me to get to Logan Webb. Clearly, Seth Lugo looks good in Oakland against Oakland, but this is a guy that gives up a 196 xISO to lefties. Now, I know the power plays down in Oakland, but not really for lefty power. 94 park factor. It's not the 77 you have to righties. So Ryan Noda, Seth Brown, Lawrence Butler, Soderstrom, they're in a decent spot here against Lugo to make something happen. I am very light on Seth Lugo. If the ownership starts to flatten a little bit, I'll probably end up around 10%. For bats, Oakland's the best value team you'll find today. They're also basically the worst stack you can get to. If you want to get on the opposite side of Lugo ownership, I could see it. These guys are free. It's $4,900 for Zach Geloff, $3K for Noda, and then everybody else in the projected lineup is $2,900 or less, which is insane. I don't really have them. I don't have the Padres either. I'm matching the site, 4th in top stack. They're also 4th in ownership at 8%. I think San Diego is a little over-owned for this spot. Righty power dies here, and they're going to run out a lot of righties. So I only have 4 stacks. I have half the field of the Padres. I think the Padres are a pretty easy fade today in this park. I don't think it fits their spot if they're getting this ownership. And finally, we're going to end up getting out of here very early. The Mariners and the Dodgers. 3.8 run implied total for Seattle. 3.8 implied total for the Dodgers. Late night hammer edition. George Kirby, Bobby Miller. These guys look very similar. They're both around 10% top 2 pitcher. Kirby's 5% owned at 9,500. Miller is 13% owned at 8,400. Sounds about right. I think they should both be around 10%, and that's what we're seeing here. It's not too crazy. I have a little bit more Kirby, a little bit less Miller, but not all that interesting. And they're certainly not interesting for bats. These teams are at best 2.5% to be the top stack, if not less. They're 25th and 26th in top value. These are the 2 worst stacks you can get to on a dollar-for-dollar basis. I don't have a single Dodger, and I have what looks like a 2-man Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh stack. Only thing I want here is pitching. Would you be surprised if the hitting did well? No. Betts, Freeman, Smith, Muncy, Rodriguez. Some of these guys are really, really good. Both of these lineups are talented, but so are the pitchers. I don't see this as a game that I'm going to have much of other than a little bit of the pitching. If you want to get to anything, it's probably like Dodgers lefties, Freeman and Muncy. But tough game to go to. If I sum up my pitching exposure today, Griffin Canning, Logan Webb, Christian Javier, Jesse Schultens are my 4 most exposed guys. Jack Flaherty and George Kirby up next after that. For stacks, let's collapse all of this stuff. Giants, I have 100% allocated to stacks with another 72% as one-off. So I'm getting to the Giants as my filler pretty aggressively. Like I have 16% Yaz in stacks and 16% Yaz outside of 4 and 5 mans. He's 17% owned. So I basically cover him twice. Double-digit exposure inside and outside of stacks for Estrada and Peterson as well. Astros, I'm pretty heavy on for stacks and for one-offs. A lot of that one-off is coming at the top of the order. Very happy with the way that looks. I mean, I do have a pretty big stand on the Orioles, who are only 10% owned. That does stand out at the top of the order. I don't really mind that. But that's kind of it for me. Those are the stacks. Some of the Rays, but again, that's pretty neutral. We'll see where we end up at the end of the day, but who's the best play for today? Let's find that out. Best hitter on today's slate so far is Mike Yastrzemski in the leadoff at 4,400. And then Jock Peterson, then Estrada, Conforto, Haniger, Wade. Max Kepler is the highest non-giant. That is your best non-giant play, $3,800 Max Kepler. And the worst play on the slate of anybody that I have right now, not that I have, but the worst play that you can get to today, Josh Rojas, number 9 hitter, 3,400. If you're going to the Mariners, you don't want the 9 hitter. That's not going to be it. Optimal ownership of 0.5%. Well, that's where we're at, folks. I don't have anything else to add. We zipped through this slate pretty easily. Obviously, myself and Bellman will be back later tonight, breaking this one down through Live Before Lock. We'll get his thoughts and everything. Does anybody have any questions before we get out of here? Happy to hit on anything because we have plenty of time. 15 more minutes before the NFL show starts. I'm going to take a sip of coffee. If you have a question, dump it into chat. Should be a fun slate, though. No weather issues or anything that I saw, so that should be a little bit helpful. Let's see, what's my number one lineup for right now? Highest ranked lineup is Logan Webb, David Peterson, Astros, 5-man Astros stack with 3 one-offs of Jose Abreu, Andre Jimenez, and Vargas from the Nats. That's my number one. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Alrighty, folks, that is all I've got. All right, hold on. Best one-off from the Astros. Kyle Tucker or Yordan Alvarez? Probably Tucker, I guess. Probably Alvarez. A home run call? We'll have that for live before lock. Would I play Maldonado batting 9th against Greinke in cash? Absolutely not. No chance. 0% chance I would do that. Explain the park factors a bit. What is high, average, and low? Average is 100. And then high and low is sort of depending on how you're looking at it. So like the Royals, for example, have an 80 park factor for righty power, 80 for lefties. That makes it very difficult for home runs to be hit there. If it were like Cincinnati, it'd be like 120 and 120. Should you fade Giants in high stakes small field? Maybe. I don't like, there are lineups that you can build of the Giants in those situations that are still good, but yeah, I mean, there are probably going to be teams that go underrepresented. Like one of the Giants, Astros, and Twins will probably have significantly less ownership in high stakes. That's kind of the one you want to find. Favorite pitching combo? For me, Logan Webb, Griffin Canning. That one's easy for me. All right, folks, that's going to do it. We're going to get out of here. Reminder, sign up for Owner's Box. Link in the description. Get a week of NFL Sims Max and up to $500 on your deposit. Watch all of the content that we have. Contenders videos are already out, but you guys know what I already like. Live before lock next, for me at least, at 6 p.m. NFL Strategy Show. Laffy and Greg coming up at 11. Don't miss it. Good luck, everybody. Love you guys. I'll see you Monday morning. We're done with baseball for the week. Have some fun. Be safe. Win some money, folks.